I'm live again. It's 1:14 p.m. Eastern. This is just kind of me off work. So we did our 9 to noon. It's just a casual broadcast. If you're watching, you got high expectations. Not really the place. We're just kind of hanging out. You want our dailies, you want our 9 to noons. Just hanging out. Gonna do some experimental stuff. Gonna work on the product live. So, things that we usually do off camera are going to show you, some broadcaster changes and things, changes I usually make in preview mode, I'm going to do while I'm broadcasting. So, just be forewarned. I'm just kind of hanging out. Just no stress, relaxed, testing out the technology a little bit, putting it through the paces, really trying to analyze what we're doing, what we can do differently, what we can do better, areas we'd like to improve, areas we'd like to maintain because we're already doing well, that sort of thing. So, as you can see, we're still going with just the Ben Live channel art there. So maybe a part of what we'll do today is work with Blender and come up with something a little bit better. I've also pulled down, if you saw earlier, we had a 3D image. In fact, I'll go ahead and switch over to our intro shot here. I pulled down our spinning 3D image up there. Excuse me. Because it was really causing more strain on the encoder than it was bringing benefit. It's more of a proof of concept. We want to just kind of do the whole broadcast there with it. Just to test it out, just to see what we were working with, because that was the 60 frames per second, but we did it in a GIF format. So obviously not the ideal method for that, but like I said, if you're just joining us, we're doing some live on-screen minimum viable product enhancements. So don't expect the top level of production value. It's not coming. You've seen some of the studio enhancements that we were doing. We did a lot of that last night while we were away, and so today we're going to do some of those studio enhancements and that sort of thing, but we're going to do it on the broadcast. That way you can kind of join us and contribute and, maybe do some graphic asset stuff and, I don't know, just the usual sort of thing. Have a good time, relax and whatnot, but not in any sort of daily packaged format. Going to do things that we wouldn't normally do. I'm going to scrap a lot of this. I want to really lean down my broadcaster settings. So I'm going to go through and do that, and I'm just going to do it live instead of, normally you'd want to do that sort of thing off the air, obviously. So, we have our initial cover shot there. We're looking into maybe some public domain audio we could play in through there or something. Maybe some classical, something to kind of create an intro sort of mood. We're also discussing, putting together a packaged opener. Those sorts of things tend to be fun. We used to do those on a daily, Tuesday, Thursday, I think we would do on our broadcasts. When we did the TV news, we would just do a completely new, fun sort of opener. So it's a fun thing to do. Yeah, maybe we'll do some video capture. I'm getting the phone prepared. I'm freeing up some space. I'm turning it into kind of a remote media management device for Saturday. So that's going to be a fun thing. I'm going to bring some content to you. I won't necessarily be posting it all live remotely using the data, but I'm going to be, bringing it into the client and capturing it there while it's happening, and then we'll, kind of form a sort of a collage of a broadcast at some point. So we've got our main page here. Obviously, we're going to get some upgraded there. So that's our, what do we call that? Pre-roll. Well, let's just give it an open shot. We're going to do some modifying of the names and stuff on the back end here. Things you can't really see. Just to... We're going to call this the opening. Because even though right now we just have simple graphic right now. It's just a cover. It's still going to be the opening, so we'll start compiling some other sources into it at another time. So there's the intro, which we have, is mainly comprised of our global source webcam. In fact, we should probably investigate our global sources. We don't really want to mess with that stuff too much while we're here, but we can remove some unused things. Any scenes that use it, yeah. So we're going to remove some of the unused stuff, some old hashtags and global sources that we don't use. We have the webcam, we have the Chrome, we don't really use the wide angle either. We found that you can really only encode one video stream with the encoder at a time if you're going to put it up to the YouTubes like this. I mean, it's still in beta, but I imagine that's going to be kind of a hardware limitation we're going to be looking at for a while here. So it already appears to be somewhat of an improvement. We're still getting a high encoding. We were considering dropping our frames per second. I know we like doing the 60 frames per second, but we don't have a lot of stuff that's really graphically intensive, and I feel like we might be able to get a steady stream at a lower frame rate for you. So I might do some experiments with that, but that would require restarting. Clearly living the hack life there. Woo. So, we got some text assets here and such. Let's bring some of those up. We got our BRB, and we got our cover there. We like the cover. We're going to keep that. The BRB we're probably going to substitute out for some sort of graphic at some point. So we'll keep the text for now. We have the image there. Again, like we said, that's too intensive. It's going to bog down our encoder, so we're actually going to go ahead and remove that. But we will be, we'll see here soon, we'll be working on some graphic elements, and we'll make that a more permanent thing. We like this one. We just called this box, but we like that. We like to be able to bring that in. That's art. We had that. That was actually, well, from the other angle, if you remember from yesterday, we did some things with the 3D text originally, and that would have been sitting closer to over here. Let me show that to you. It would have been more sitting right there from the other shot. So yeah, that was kind of what we were working with on that one. But as you can see, too large for this shot. Would be hanging off in space there, but we can kind of, we can do whatever we want with it, but actually it doesn't look right over on that side because of the lighting. The lighting is only appropriate for where it was supposed to be, and so if it was actually in screen, it's like there. Just running off of the mantle. But yeah, so that was actually an idea that that we got from Amanda at Stupid Waffle earlier, or a couple days ago or whenever, when we were talking about that. She's like, "Oh, you should put the words on the mantle." And we're like, yes, we should be doing that, but we're gonna do some other stuff here. We're actually be doing that shortly. So we have our opening that starts with the cover, and then we come into our intro. We have our BRB text that will modify that and make it a graphic later. We have our cover that we can put up to just kind of, hide from you, and we'll make that into whatever we make our opening into. We got our box there, so we can do some screencast stuff up there. Our art, although it's neat, we're going to go ahead and get rid of that one because it wasn't really made for this shot, and we're going to make some new stuff for this shot. Obviously, the webcam one, we got that. We got it back in 5-ish, it says here, but it's all the way at the bottom, so let's bring it to order it up to the top and see what it looks like back in 5-ish. Yeah, that's fine, but we don't really, that's what our BRB is doing, so we don't really need 2 of those. In fact, we don't need either of them, because when we do bring it in, we're going to bring in a graphic. So we've decided that we need a cover, which we're going to update that anyway, because that's going to be part of our opening. We have our box, which is part of our screencast, and we have the webcam, which obviously is the majority of what's happening on this particular shot. Let me make sure this is properly sized. Yeah, looks good. Positioned, centered. Yeah. So it should be the right size with the broadcast and everything here. So we do need to make some graphics for like a, some sort of wall art here, and then be right back. Something I was thinking, something to sit in the chair in my place, because if it says be right back, I'm probably not sitting there, or it'll be over my face either way, because I'm just finishing up some last touches. Friends of the show, people who are familiar with what we do here will know that I'm known for telling you that I'm leaving and putting it up there and saying that I'm gone, but you see me doing stuff because I'm a liar, a known liar on the internet. Now this is a lot more kind of on the fly sort of enhancements we've thrown into the broadcaster here. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of some of this stuff. And now we could create a brand new profile. We're modifying our profile as live beta, which would be just completely resetting our broadcaster settings. But instead of doing that, we're actually just going to go through here and get rid of and clean up and minimize and just get back down to what we need, just the core elements we need, and then we'll add from there what we see we'd like to what we'd like to do to enhance things. So we got our Ben Live back soon. We do like that one. That was helpful with the screencast. And then we don't really have it for when we're in the wide shot so much, but we might want to go with something more consistent. I think that we'll be back soon. I think that'll be good, and it won't be so cluttered there either once we have the graphic. But again, we should probably just do a cover shot that just covers the whole thing and says, we'll be back soon. It says, Ben Live will be back. We'll put some GIFs or something on there, something like that. Something we can, just have an away scene. I should probably create an entire scene for when we walk away, and then just jump back to whatever scene we were on when we return. That might be the best way to handle that. So let me go back to here, and so that's we can go ahead and just remove these elements because we've decided we're going to go with a different structure. We'll create that scene for that. That's our mobile feed there on the Ben Live, but we don't have the Windows set up for that at the moment, and that one is not going to be right in the long run. So we'll adjust that because we're going to do like a pixel by pixel here. Time Friday. No, that's just some leftover text that we put up at some point and left in there. Some sort of feed, probably where we were patching the logo at some point. We'll get rid of that. There's the small title. We do like that, but we'll actually we'll use, hopefully when we get some sort of reduced frame count graphic. Because that was the main issue with the the Ben Live. If you watched the broadcasts earlier, hour ago or so, hour and a half ago now, you saw that it was really putting strain on the feed, even at the higher bandwidths. It was putting strain on it just because it was the encoder. It was at our end. It was on the machine end here, and so that's just kind of a limitation that we can't do much about. So we put that out. We did a 60 frame per second GIF like that over I think I ended up doing just 4 seconds on a loop, and you saw how it just kind of was a very slow sort of process there. The frame by frame, it stretched it out a lot. So yeah, it was it was a lot of strain on the encoder, and we're going to find something with like maybe a 24 frame per second and something a little bit zippier, but it's going to have more subtle movements and something like that. I actually have an idea for maybe a placard or something. So you'll see. We got some ideas. We actually have some enhancements that we want to make here in the not too distant future. So let's see. We got the chat there. I mean, that's all right. I guess it's functional. We're going to need whatever assets we get for that name, that text asset. We're going to have that graphic. We'll probably use that consistently just to put it over top when we're in our smaller view. And then, when we're in our larger views, we'll do things differently. Now, we still have a scene for the Skype, but we don't really need that because we haven't been doing much with patching things in that way. So we'll bring in content in a different way when we do bring in content. Then we also have one for code, but we'll go ahead and remove that as well because when we do our on-screen screencasting lately, we've just been doing in-browser stuff, and so when we do our code, we can go ahead and bring the application in. But we'll deal with that when we add in our screencasting. Maybe we'll do that a little later because we're also gonna have to bring in some Blender stuff, so we'll have to create some scenes for that. So we'll create some screencasting beyond just the regular screencast. So we've got our opening scene with our cover. We've got our intro. That's with the cover up. We're going to take that down. We got the intro. We have the box and the webcam. So our webcams are global. Our box is bringing in our Chrome screencast in the same way that we do on this page. We have our screencast, but it's the larger window and we're the smaller one. So those are using the same sources, so it should be able to switch pretty easily between those two, you see, without much delay, because it's just basically resizing, kind of changing which goes where. And then the chat again, that chat window is open. That's sized down to where that fits. So yeah, we're looking at pretty sleek, pretty minimalized broadcast settings there for you. And I know I'll stop jumping around here, but it's just kind of fun. The encoder doesn't like it either. But I like it with this new setup. Let me just go to intro. Let's go to the wide shot, and we'll take down the box, and we'll just let the encoder run. Because see, that's the thing. If we'd see we're running 30 frames per second now. We're back up to 42, 47. So the high encoding issues are kind of putting a bog on our frame rate anyway. So I'm thinking if we kind of scale down maybe to something in the 40s, and we go just reliably. I don't know. I mean, 60 frames per second is the ideal. So if we can figure that out, but we don't want to get any lower. I mean, we're already at 720p, which on some larger displays is going to look pretty web broadcasty. But this is what we have to work with the technology we have available. So we're going to do what we can. I don't need to tell you, if you're watching this broadcast, you know how to find the budget where we explained to you that we could use a $1,500 Surface 4. We'd make that work for us too. But in the meantime, we're just going to keep running with what we actually have. So I want to look at this, like properties. If I can chroma key it. I want to select. No, it doesn't like that one. Okay, so it is gonna let me just pick any color. So maybe if I pick that one, it's gonna take that out. How much does that do for the broadcaster? I'm wondering if it hurts it too much. Yes, there's a lot of stuff that falls within range. We can reduce that. We can fix that, but I don't know. And now let's see. I guess we would have to put this. Okay, so we're gonna leave that. And I'm sorry, I know that's crazy looking. We wouldn't do that normally, but we're just, like I said, casual broadcast. Deal with it. There we go. So if we want to kind of do some chroma keying out, we could do some really psychedelic stuff, apparently, because we can pick any color. Now I'm going to let that broadcast like that for a few minutes there and see, just so we have some video to look back on later, because you see the encoder is just losing it. It's down to like 28, 27 frames a second. But even at 30 frames per second, if we can do that, that's fine. That it'll meet our needs actually quite well. But see, the more I move, the more it requires it to do some processing and some heavy lifting. And it's probably putting out some serious heat over there. So I'm going to see what it does for more of a stagnant scene. I'm going to step out here and maybe wet the whistle and be back in just a few minutes. Again, like I said, we're just kind of hanging out live, making ourselves available here. Bring your friends, come hang out with us. Talk to us. It's Tuesday afternoon. Maybe you're getting up because you work second shift or what. Maybe you work third shift like us and you haven't gone to bed yet because you're staying up, and that's fine. You can hang out. If you're working first shift, tune us in. We'll keep it mostly safe for work. Nothing it's never anything explicit. Obviously, we're on YouTube, so nothing gratuitous, but we do occasionally say words that your boss wouldn't want to hear. So use your headphones. But yeah, so I'll be back. There's the Ben Live, and I got rid of any sort of way to tell you that. So maybe I'll create the be back soon scene live for you. think I'm gonna eat some rice. I think that's happening. It's just chroma keyed everywhere now. Nice. Because it's the global. Alright, so let's go back there. And that's just killing the encoder. Let's go and turn that off. Like, what else can we do there? Just disable that. Okay. Yeah, that seems to be working. Okay, that's good. Looks like we're gonna be able to do some stuff that we want to do pretty easily here. Moving forward. You don't even know. You don't even know. But I guess, if you're tuning into this broadcast, if you're just hanging out, you're friends of the show. So, you know what we're into. We're just going to enhance this for you. And we're going to keep improving the broadcast every way we can. I'm going to kind of do some graphical stuff here, like just some still images, maybe some GIF stuff too. Just some stuff to, fill in these borders, fill in these black spaces around things. This one that I just created. See, it actually runs fine as long as it's the only sort of moving action the encoder has to put out. But if I try to incorporate the webcam here, we can add in a global source webcam. There we go. And size that one down. And edit. There we go. I guess it does okay. Let's see if it can handle that on the long term though. Because that's interesting. That kind of opens up some options there. Some interesting stuff we can explore. Yes, indeed. So I like the aerial just because it's kind of the original sans serif. It's classic sans serif. Everything's going to the sans serif now, with all these open sans, source sans. It's really, I don't know. So I guess we're kind of going to go with that. We like the minimalist design, and we are aware of design trends, and this is a personal growth platform, and so I guess we practice what we preach. So we should show you that sometimes you just kind of go with what it's proven, what's kind of the current style. We don't want to look outdated, so we'll kind of integrate that sans serif stuff ourselves. Yeah, so you can see the encoder starting to struggle a little bit, and I bet if we just drop that webcam feed there, it'll pick right up. Yep, has no problem now. Look at some of this network stuff. And Firebase. So for those of you tuning in, we don't really want to generate much traffic yet, so don't share this, but benlive.tv is live. It is working. I'm looking at it right now. So we heard back from Firebase, and we got things connected there. So I don't know if we're going to leave that HTML5 boilerplate. We might just continue to enhance from an HTML5 boilerplate. That would be really cool. That's something that is really going to help you to, rapidly deploy websites. It's, we like to be minimalist, so we like to avoid any sort of code bloat whenever possible. And I consider code bloat, if it's code that you're not utilizing in that specific project. But when we use things like an HTML5 boilerplate, there are so many considerations built into it for legacy browsers and compatibility and multiple. It's just kind of does like size resetting for multiple browsers across platforms and stuff. There's some, it includes Modernizer and some JavaScript packages that you might not necessarily need, but it's kind of helpful if you're looking for just kind of the broadest audience right off the bat. It's very helpful. For a lot of projects that we do, we work only in the evergreen space, and that's fun because you kind of just you can hand code the all-in-ones straight from HTML5 and use everything because the current browsers, the evergreen browsers, have a lot of features that are just they're not going anywhere for a while. They're here to stay. You can use them. Yeah, so getting some food. I like this little be back soon. It's a shame that that webcam feed was knocking that out. I should look at. I wonder what the resolution is here. Let's see, properties. Let's do 1280 at 30 frames per second. Position size, reset size. No. Go ahead and order that one. Put that one on the bottom. So yeah, with a full screen like that, trying to put out the 60 frame per second feed, it's still a little bit laggier. I mean, that's just on our local. It's on our monitor. That's not even considering bouncing to the server and back. We haven't even looked at that in the viewing room. That's what I need to do. I need to go and get the viewing room going, but it seems like Stupid Waffle is finishing up with her other activities. Oops. So maybe we can do something like that. Generally, we're in this corner. Oh, I know what we can do. We can reset that for starters. So that's something we got to work on because that's a much larger image there for the amount of space that's taking. So it's like, if we do things in the native resolution, if we kind of figure out that we're going to be doing a 1280 by 720 at 60 frames per second, and we do things natively, they should work better. They should be able to put things out. So it's kind of the upscaling and things that cause the difficulty. Fortunately, 30 frames per second with our webcam is our limitation. We would like to have a 60 frame per second 1080p camera, but we would definitely need a hardware upgrade at that point. In order to put that out, we would need all of our. We would have to have the whole thing. I mean, we got to get the whole thing if we're gonna go to 1080p. But in the meantime, we can work with what we have. And there's a GIF up there that's only looks like a tiny portion of Ben Live moving, but the reality is it's a lot of frames up there, so there's a lot more data than we're utilizing. So kind of a budgeting thing, data budgeting. But while we're shrunk down like that, that seems to be okay. But we'll see. Yeah, no, see, it is hitting it a little bit, just a little bit. It doesn't like the layering over live video, but we're gonna push forward because that's kind of a non-optional. We can't concede that one. Alright, so you're gonna get muted again. We'll get some food, but you'll see if the good friend wants to stop in. They'll be here. All right, so we've just been sitting here kind of having some private conversation time. Sorry. Let me take that logo off. It does, the encoder, basically what we're deciding, what I've come to the conclusion is the 60 frame per second GIF might as well be video as far as the encoder is concerned. So if I'm going to use it, it's got to be worth it, you know. But the goal is to have, you know, a steady sort of, not have the need for worrying about that. You know, so we want to have, you know, all of our video assets we want to have optimized for, you know, native resolution. So like this right here, because this is actually a stretched size. Let's reset the size of that. Is it because of the box? Just doesn't like to put it out at full screen.
Most students don't ever tell you it's not polite to bathe on the internet.
I know, right? The voyeur cam. Kitty. Hey, Kitty.
His bottleneck.
Yeah. Oh, jeez. So we put the screencast there. See, it handles the screencast a little bit better because the video is smaller and, you know, it's less than the native resolution of the video, so there's no upscaling. So it prefers that. That's good. We left that. So yeah, we're gonna do some Blender. I think that's really asking for trouble pulling up Blender, but let's see. Let's just see what we're capable of right now. Let's bring it to its knees if that's what it's gonna do, you know. I'm launching the program. Got the application. I'm gonna have to do something about the always on top. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this. Well, we have a monitor, so. Blender is very versatile with the screen sizing and such, so hopefully. Alright, I think I'm going to have to go to more of a workspace setting here, so let me go and back the mic up. Sorry for the dragging the mic. I know those micro vibrations come through a lot louder than you think. Alright, so let's set up another scene. Let's add a scene, and let's call this scene Blender. Right? Okay, and as per usual, we'll go and pull in our webcam because obviously we gotta start with something. So there I am, and let me shrink down to just the bottom right corner here. So try not to block it too much. Actually, let's see. Yeah, well, we'll just kind of shape around it. That'll work for us. And then we're going to add in a window capture, and we're going to call this Blender, and let's select a sub-region. Wow, looks to already have. Cool. 1287 by 760. We're pretty close there. So we got to bring it in by 7. 12. Because we want to get a native resolution. That's our best chance for success is going to be native resolution with our broadcast on here. So let's bring that in. Excuse me. Alright, I think we're good there. Oh no, because it's not wide enough. Okay. Yeah. What a surprise. The encoder's like, what? You want to do what? Alright, so we kind of got we have a limited workspace here compared to what we're used to, but that'll be alright. Got the cursor on there. Let's see, I think it was logo.blend. So is that coming through? Doesn't appear to have gotten the yeah, so it's going to be hard to get this one. This one is not going to want screencast very easily. Let's go to the 3D view here. It's interesting because it still appears to be the old file, but that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the new one that I just opened up. Alright, we're going to go ahead and quit out of there then. Let's try opening up from the file and see if we can't get Blender to cooperate with the broadcaster better that way. Where was the unlive? It just opens up like this huge resolution. We're using a 32-inch 1080p native television as a secondary monitor, and so it's putting off quite a bit of resolution here. That's why, you know, using two monitors, high resolution like that, we got. This laptop's doing quite a bit of work. It's not the laptop's fault. It's doing quite a bit of work. So what is it showing there? It's just showing our broadcaster. Well, that's not what we're going for, but let's refresh. No. No, that's not the one we wanted. Let's try actual Blender. No. Yeah. Ain't gonna like that, huh? Alright. Well, that might be because we're trying to do it in broadcast here, so that's boot up my other one. One more try. I'm gonna give it one more try, see if I can do some Blender stuff for you live. If not, we might end up just not doing the broadcasting here, unfortunately, because the Blender stuff has to happen. Needing some graphic asset upgrades so that we can do some marketing guerrilla style here on Saturday. So really non-optional. This broadcast we're doing right now, more of an optional, just kind of hanging out session. Let's see if we can get some Blender. I was hoping to be able to just kind of play around with Blender with you guys, kind of show you a little bit of what we're looking at, what we're working on here, but if it's not going to want to cooperate, let's try it again. Blender. Why does it have that stuck on there? It's so weird. It's like it's got the graphics card's just having real issues, I'm sure is what it is. Trying to do too much. Because there it's got the window capture settings still up there. I mean, they're obviously not there anymore. You know, we set it to do that, so. Can it even? Yeah, it's just getting like an initial screen capture. Let's edit it down, see if maybe we can make it smaller. It wants to play nice if it's just a little corner of the screen. Alright. Ay. Looks like the Blender might not be happening. That's alright though. Blender's a pretty powerful tool. We didn't really think we'd be able to do that. I mean, you know, if you want to learn Blender, learn it from someone else. I'm still learning it myself, you know, I'm not really the guy you want to learn that one from. So you're not going to be able to see that stuff live on screen that I'm doing, but it's fun. And we're bringing you some fancy assets using it. So I'll go ahead and get rid of the Blender scene. Bye, Blender scene. There's the be back soon. Put the logo up. Go ahead and close that. We did say we'd get you that square with the new set earlier, but you know, I think I'm gonna save that because I got the web domain up and running. Don't save it or put it, or don't, you know, keep that one to yourselves for now because we gotta get the analytics on it before we really start pushing that property around. But yeah, benlive.tv, we're there now. Looking at it live, secure socket layer and everything. https://benlive.tv. We can get some subdirectories going for it if we feel so inclined, but at this moment we're just running right off the domain, just right through. Yeah, I don't know. I was kind of hoping that Blender broadcasting would work, but it looks like it's not going to be able to do that. That's a little bit too heavy lifting for the laptop. But oh well, it is what it is. We'll do some graphics stuff and things like that. We'll just do it off camera. Sorry, you don't get to join us. We're just going to do it ourselves. But them's the breaks. We tried, and no, no, we'll be back. Obviously we'll be doing the 9 a.m. to noon tomorrow, but tonight I got some familial stuff, and we're gonna do some hanging out around here after we spend most of the afternoon doing work. We're gonna do some not work too to go with it. Yeah. So yeah, probably be checking in with some zombie life tonight. I don't know, might be sleeping. We'll see. No promises, no guarantees. Just I'll be hanging out. If you see me hanging out online, I'll hang out on here as well usually. So yeah, thanks for tuning in for the hangout session. Sorry, didn't go for very long. Just like a little over an hour there, or whatever. It's all right. I got the blender stuff. Got to make it happen, and obviously I'm not gonna be able to do both. So got to do the blender later.